The thunder strikes. The sun hung high in the sky, casting its golden rays over the city below. A sense of tranquility gripped the land, as if the calm before the storm had descended. The Avengers, in their usual array of bright colors and imposing figures, gathered in a quiet, open space. They had just finished yet another mission, a routine rescue operation that had gone off without a hitch. But little did they know, the world was about to change in ways they never anticipated. Thor, the mighty god of thunder, stood apart from the group, his gaze fixed on something in the distance. His mind was preoccupied, the recent visions of an ancient relic weighing heavily on him. The air around him hummed with an unsettling energy, a low vibration that seemed to resonate deep within his chest. He couldn't shake the feeling that something powerful, was hidden just beyond his reach. "Thor, what is it?" Captain America called out, sensing his teammate's distraction. Thor turned, his broad shoulders rising and falling with a sigh. "There is something off. I can feel it in my bones. A power, buried deep beneath the surface, calling to me." Iron Man raised an eyebrow. "Are we talking about another one of your mystical secrets, Thor? Or is this something a little more scientific?" Thor shook his head, his eyes narrowed in concentration. "This is no science, Stark. This is something older, far older than even Asgard. Something that was meant to stay hidden." The team exchanged uneasy glances, unsure of how to proceed. But before they could discuss it further, the ground beneath them began to tremble. At first, it was a soft rumble, like the low growl of an approaching storm. But then, the shaking intensified, and the sky above darkened, clouds swirling ominously in the air. "Everyone, brace yourselves," Captain America ordered, his voice steady despite the growing chaos. The Avengers spread out, preparing for whatever threat was about to surface. But as the tremors increased in intensity, Thor felt an unrelenting pull deep inside him. Without a word, he turned and sprinted toward the source of the disturbance. The others followed, unsure of what they were chasing, but trusting their teammates' instincts. They arrived at an abandoned ruin, the remains of a once grand structure now reduced to crumbling walls and overgrown vegetation. In the center of the ruin stood a large stone pedestal, worn by time and the elements. But it was the object resting atop the pedestal that drew Thor's gaze like a magnet. A weathered, runic tome sat before him, its pages yellowed with age. The book radiated an unnatural energy, one that sent shivers down Thor's spine. As he stepped forward, the wind seemed to pick up, swirling around him as if it too was drawn to the book's power. The sunlight broke through the clouds above, casting a beam of light directly onto the tome, illuminating its worn cover. "What is this?" Thor whispered, his voice thick with awe and fear. "This is not just any book." Iron Man, still hovering nearby in his suit, zoomed in with his suit's AI scanning system. "I don't like the readings I'm getting. This thing's giving off some serious energy, almost like it's alive." Thor took a cautious step forward, his hand outstretched. The moment his fingers brushed the edge of the book, a burst of energy surged through his body. His eyes widened as the power flowed into him, filling him with a sensation he had never experienced before, an ancient, malevolent force that seemed to resonate with his very being. "Thor!" Captain America shouted, rushing forward, but Thor was already too far gone, his eyes now glowing with an unnatural light. The other Avengers stopped in their tracks, uncertain of what to do. Thor's transformation was not one they had ever seen before. For a long moment, there was silence, the only sound the howling wind and the crackling energy surrounding the god of thunder. Thor stood motionless, holding the book in his hands, his expression unreadable. Then slowly he spoke, his voice low and filled with a weight that none of the Avengers had ever heard from him before. "It is true," Thor murmured. "This book, it holds the key to a power greater than anything we've ever faced. It is the key to a darkness that should have remained sealed away." The others exchanged worried looks. They had all fought unimaginable threats before, but this was different. Thor's voice carried a hint of fear they had never heard from the god of thunder. "Thor, what are you talking about?" Iron Man asked, his tone laced with concern. Thor turned to face them, his eyes still glowing with that unsettling light. This book contains a secret, one that could destroy us all. I must take it back to Asgard, where it can be locked away once more." Before anyone could protest, Thor turned on his heel and vanished into the skies, the book still clutched tightly in his hands. The Avengers stood there, stunned, unsure of what to do next. The god of thunder had always been their ally, but something had changed. And in that moment, they realized this was no ordinary mission. The secret Thor had uncovered was about to tear them apart. Heroes or enemies? The sky had never seemed so heavy. Dark clouds churned ominously above, as though nature itself was foretelling the storm brewing among the Avengers. Thor had vanished into the horizon, taking the mysterious book with him, leaving the team in a state of disbelief and confusion. The members of the Avengers stood scattered across the ruined site, their expressions a mix of uncertainty and frustration. Captain America was the first to break the silence. "What did he mean by that?" he asked, his voice firm yet filled with a note of concern. "What is this dark power Thor spoke of?" Iron Man adjusted his helmet, his mind working at lightning speed, analyzing the situation. "I don't know, but whatever it is, it can't be good. That book, I've never seen readings like that. It's not just magical, it's alive, like it has a mind of its own." Thor's absence had left a void within the team, and the tension that followed his departure was palpable. His sudden departure had raised more questions than answers, and the unease grew with every passing second. The Avengers were no longer united by a common goal. They were divided by fear, suspicion, and uncertainty. "You saw what happened to Thor," Black Widow spoke up, her voice steady but her eyes betraying her worry. "He wasn't just looking for power, he was consumed by it. What if it takes him over completely?" Hawkeye crossed his arms, his face set in a grim expression. "You think we should go after him? That book's dangerous, and so is he right now. We can't just let him run off with it." Captain America's eyes narrowed, and he stepped forward, his shield at his side. "We need to find him, but we can't approach this recklessly. Thor is still one of us, and we need to remind him of that. But if he's too far gone..." Iron Man cut in, his voice tinged with caution. "Then we take him down. As much as I hate to admit it, if the book is controlling him, we can't afford to let him go rogue. Not with the power he's wielding." The words hung in the air, heavy with the implications of what needed to be done. The Avengers were at a crossroads. They were facing a crisis that not only threatened their unity, but their very existence. Would they remain heroes, or would this dark power turn them into enemies? In the distance, the silhouette of Thor appeared against the setting sun, his cape billowing in the wind as he soared through the sky. He was heading toward Asgard, away from Earth, away from the Avengers. "We need to make a decision, and we need to make it fast," Captain America said, his voice resolute. "Thor's out there, and if that book has control over him, it's only a matter of time before it manipulates him further. We have to stop him before it's too late." Iron Man flew up into the air, his suit whirring to life. "I'll track his movements. We can't let him get too far. If he's going to turn on us, we need to be ready to respond." The team's faces hardened. There was no turning back now. The road ahead was uncertain, filled with danger, and the fate of Thor, their friend and ally, lay in their hands. Meanwhile, in the far reaches of the sky, Thor landed in the heart of Asgard. The winds howled as he touched down, the ground beneath him crackling with the energy of the book. His heart raced, but not with excitement. No, this was a cold, gnawing fear. He could feel the book's power coursing through him, and with it came the whispers of a dark force, tempting him to use it. His mind struggled to retain control, but the book's allure was undeniable. With every passing moment, it felt as though a part of him was slipping away, drowned in the dark whispers, the promise of ultimate power. He knelt before the throne of Odin, the All-Father's vacant seat, a chilling reminder of his own inheritance. This must be locked away," Thor whispered to himself, though his voice lacked conviction. The book's call was too strong, and his resolve wavered. As he reached out to place the book upon the altar, his thoughts were interrupted by a sudden voice. "Thor, you've returned, but you seem different." Thor's head snapped around. Standing in the doorway was Loki, his green eyes gleaming with amusement. "What's this?" The great Thor, reduced to a slave of a book. Thor clenched his fists. Stay out of this, Loki. You don't understand. This book, it contains powers I've never imagined. Powers that could change everything. It's not just Asgard at risk, it's the whole universe. Loki took a step forward, his expression unreadable. And yet, you've come here to hide it, rather than to wield it. How predictable. His lips curled into a smirk. But if you think you can keep it locked away forever, Thor, you're fooling yourself. Power like that doesn't stay hidden for long. Thor's grip on the book tightened. He could feel the war inside him, the desire to listen to Loki's words, to give in to the power. But he fought it. I won't let it consume me, Thor said, his voice low and determined. Loki raised an eyebrow, his smirk never faltering. We'll see about that. Back on Earth, the Avengers were preparing to take action. The weight of their choices was clear. Thor was no longer just a comrade. He was now a threat. The line between hero and enemy was becoming dangerously blurred. Captain America looked at his team, the heavy silence pressing in around them. Whatever happens next, we have to be ready. Because if Thor decides we're his enemies, then it's a fight we won't walk away from. The Avengers were no longer just defenders of Earth. They were now a divided team, forced to decide who they would stand with and who they would face down. Their unity had always been their strength. But now, in the face of a threat like no other, they had to ask themselves, are they still heroes? Or have they become enemies? The final decision. The world seemed to hold its breath. The sky above was an endless stretch of clouds, a harbinger of a storm to come. It had been hours since Thor had disappeared into Asgard with the cursed book, and the Avengers had gathered in their base, the weight of their looming decision pressing heavily on each of them. The tension was palpable, like an electric charge in the air. Captain America stood at the center, his shield on his back, his jaw clenched in deep contemplation. The weight of leadership had never felt so heavy. We have no choice, he said, his voice grave. Thor has already gone too far. The power of that book, it's too dangerous. If it controls him, we have to stop him before it's too late. Iron Man, pacing back and forth, ran his hands through his hair, the sound of his armored boots echoing in the quiet room. I agree, Cap, but we can't just attack Thor without knowing what we're up against. That book, it's like it has a mind of its own. We don't even know what it's capable of. Black Widow, always the voice of reason, interjected. But do we really have time to waste? Thor's not the same. He's already changed. The longer we wait, the stronger that thing will get inside him. We need to act fast. Thor's image haunted them, a once steadfast ally now transformed by a force beyond their comprehension. The team had always been a family, but now they were standing on the precipice, facing a choice that would divide them forever. I'll track his movements, Iron Man said, his fingers flying across the holographic interface in front of him. If he's in Asgard, I can pinpoint his location with the right tech. But that means we'll need to confront him. And if it comes to a fight, well, you know the odds. Captain America nodded, his resolve hardening. We don't have a choice. If it comes to that, we'll do what's necessary. We'll save Thor, or we'll stop him, whatever it takes. Hawkeye, standing near the window, looked out at the stormy sky, his bow slung over his shoulder. It's hard to believe this is happening. Thor's always been the rock we leaned on. But now we're supposed to fight him. His voice carried a mixture of anger and sorrow. Captain America placed a hand on his shoulder. We fight for what's right, Clint, even if it means fighting someone we love. The words were simple, but they carried the weight of everything they had fought for. Their unity, their friendship, their shared history. They had fought side by side through countless battles, always knowing that they could rely on one another. But this was different. This wasn't just a fight against an enemy. This was a fight against a friend who had fallen into darkness. We can't fail him, Black Widow said softly, her eyes betraying the sadness that had settled in her heart. He's one of us. But if he's gone too far, we have to be prepared to do what's necessary. Iron Man's voice broke through the silence. I've got a location on Thor. He's in Asgard. We're running out of time. Captain America stood tall, his expression resolute. Then we go. We bring him back, or we stop him. No more hesitation, As the Avengers prepared for their journey to Asgard, Thor stood at the altar, the book in his hands, its dark energy swirling around him. His mind felt clouded, torn between his duty to protect his people and the alluring power that promised him untold strength. The whispers of the book echoed in his mind, urging him to embrace the darkness. "Do you hear it?" Loki's voice cut through the silence, filled with amusement as he stepped into the chamber. "The power is calling to you, Thor. You can feel it, can't you? It's already inside you." Thor clenched his fists, his brow furrowed in conflict. "I will not let it consume me. I am still the god of thunder." Loki chuckled darkly, his eyes gleaming with malice. "You're lying to yourself, brother. You've already given in. The moment you touched that book, it was over." Thor took a step back, the weight of the book pulling at him. The power within it called to him, promising him everything he had ever desired. But deep down, he knew that accepting it would mean losing himself forever. He had faced many battles, but this was the hardest choice he had ever made. The Avengers arrived in Asgard, their faces set with determination. They knew what they had to do, but the reality of confronting Thor was a bitter pill to swallow. They had trained for every scenario, fought countless foes, but none of those battles had prepared them for this. Captain America led the way, his shield held high, his voice strong. "Thor, we're here to bring you back. You don't have to do this. The power of that book, it's not you." Thor stood at the altar, his back to them, his grip tightening on the book. "I can't stop it," he murmured, his voice hollow. "The power is too great." Loki stood at his side, his smirk widening. "He's already ours. You're too late." Iron Man stepped forward, his suit glowing. "Then we'll just have to do this the hard way." The Avengers prepared for the confrontation. It was no longer just about saving a friend. It was about stopping the darkness before it consumed everything. Thor, once their ally, now stood as their greatest threat. With a single glance, Captain America made the decision. It's time. No more hesitation. The final decision had been made. The Avengers were no longer just a team. They were a force determined to save one of their own or stop him before he could bring ruin to everything they had fought for. The battle for Thor's soul had begun.